Good afternoon, vaqueros, and thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you are having a great first day of class. My name is Mabel Cortina Matos, and I am the event manager for the student unions. We are going to be hosting an InfoDepot today, and joining us is Mr. Sergio Martinez, Director of the Residence Halls and Apartments on campus at Edinburgh and Bronzeville, as well as Ms. Adriana Nava, Student Union Manager here at the Edinburgh campus. Thank you all so much for joining us, and let's get started.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez, for taking the time out of your day to sit with us and give us some information on housing on our beautiful campuses. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to talk about student housing, for what I do for a profession, and always enjoy talking to students, staff, faculty, and any campus partners that want to spend some time with me to talk about it.
Thank you. Now, before we get started, for the students or parents who do not know what the Department of Residence Life is, could you explain the services that you all provide?
Sure. The Department of Housing and Residence Life at UTRGV offers student housing options for student, staff, and faculty. We have a variety of facilities throughout our multi-campuses. In Brownsville, we have the Casa Bella Apartments. In Edinburgh, we have the Village Apartments, as well as Unity and Heritage residence halls. Our facilities are designed around the student experience with amenities that include fully furnished apartments and bedrooms, access to the university EDU Rome Wi-Fi network. All our utilities are included in our pricing. Study rooms, lounges, some of our facilities have pools, and they're all strategically located right on campus. So they're very accessible to access the campus and designed with students in mind.
Yeah, that's so great, because I mean, UTRGV has already provided so much for their students. So including housing, it just makes them feel more at ease, and it helps them throughout their educational journeys without having to worry about off-campus apartments and things like that. So having this on campus is just extremely beneficial for students.
I think the convenience factor is goes without saying, right? You know, when you're on campus, you can access all the services pretty easily. We're part of UTRGV. We're UTRGV owned and operated, so it makes it easy for us to partner with financial aid, with Youth Central, with orientation, with the student union, with the recreation centers, with our dining services, you know, and we are all, it's not just one, I mean, it's our professional staff, but along with the whole access and resources of the university to promote student success and promote that student experience that our vaqueros are looking for.
Yeah, after hearing all of the benefits that housing provides, how can a student apply for housing?
Absolutely, we try to make it as easy as possible. They can apply online through our housing portal. To access it, they just have to log on with their university credentials to the university portal, myutrgv.edu. Once they're there, they can click on our housing icon, and they'll take them to our housing portal. They'll review the application, which is confirm some of their contact information. They review the housing preferences. They pick where they want to live, what meal plan they want, and then agree to the terms and conditions of the contract. Once that is submitted to us, we'll get a copy of that. They will get a copy as well electronically, and then we'll notify them of what their room assignment is and when their move-in date is. So, you know, right now is the spring semester, so we are accepting students for the spring semester, and their move-in date is this Friday. We usually get a few last-minute students, mostly international students that maybe had some delays with their F1 visas, or even local students who were kind of on the fence of whether they're going to live on campus or not after all for the spring. But we'll be taking applications up to first class day.
So up until the first class day, you still will consider applicants
Yeah, we'll still consider them.
after?
Absolutely.
What happens after the first class day? Like, is that the absolute last day, or are there still special considerations made?
We'll still have special considerations. We want to see if we can support them because we still need to check for inventory. We need to see if we have a clean room for them. But we can do it, and we'll make ourselves available as long as we can accommodate. But it may not be as quick a process as it was before the semester started.
Sure.
But absolutely, we'll try to accommodate them if they need housing as much as possible.
Sure. Okay, that's great to know because, as you know, sometimes you have these intentions and then they change mid-semester. It's good to know that the residence halls are still an option even after the first day of school starts.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can make a room available, we'll definitely consider it.
I know that many off-campus apartments require deposit. Does the housing department require a deposit?
Yeah, we do require a security deposit of $100. You do not have to prepay it. That is posted to your UTRGV student account, and you pay that along with your tuition and fees. The deposit is fully refundable once your lease ends, and as long as the room is in good condition and there's no damages, you will credit back your deposit to your student account. The cool thing about posting it to your student account is that you can use financial aid to pay for that, whether it's a scholarship or grant or other aid to pay for that cost. And I think a lot of students find it beneficial because they don't have to come up with $100 upfront to pay for that. They pay that when classes begin.
Yeah, in case they needed the $100 for groceries or
absolutely
other necessities that they need also. Mm-hmm. But if they don't have financial aid or if they don't have scholarships, where can they go to make the payments?
Yeah, absolutely. For students who maybe just want to pay upfront, they can always go to, all payments are made at the UTRGV, U Central, Bursars, or Student Accounting Services. They take all payments. We actually can also set them up on a payment plan if that's something they need. We offer that service. It's actually, you request it through the housing portal when you apply. So you can pay everything up front because you have enough scholarships or aid to cover that cost, or maybe you want to break it up in payments. You can request that through a portal. And I think you'll find that our department personnel are very supportive for our students. So we'll find ways to assist students. It's not uncommon. I'll get a student say, well, I got a scholarship that maybe covers half my housing cost. Can I break up the rest in some kind of payments? And we'll work with them and see if we can figure that out and how we can set that up for them when possible.
I have to say that having been an apartment dweller most of my entire life, $150 is just incredibly reasonable. Normally they ask for first and last month's deposit. At a minimum, you're looking at $400 every time you go into an apartment. And so $150 that is refundable, that just is very, very reasonable and very manageable.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I failed to mention the $50 application fee. It's a one-time fee as well. So $100 security deposit, $50 application fee. And like Mabel said, I think those are very low costs compared to what you're going to typically find in the housing market. And the best part of all is we're not doing credit checks. I think as long as you're a UTRGV student in good standing, you have the privilege to live on campus. And you'll find that we're very supportive of students as they navigate their financial aid. Sometimes they'll need extensions. We can work with students if they request an extension to extend their first payment date to a different date. And we're very flexible when we can be to support those students.
Yeah, that's really good to know. I mean, it puts the students at ease. It doesn't give them as much stress, like that much stress that they would already have from schoolwork. So it's just really good to know that the housing department has their back and that they are willing to help them out and be flexible with them. So, I mean, I know for a fact that if I were to live on campus, that would just put me at ease. I'd be like, okay, like I have people who are going to support me, who are going to help me, even if times do get rough. So it's just really good to know. Now that they're going to put down a deposit, I'm sure that they are going to have a contract, and life does happen. Emergencies occur. So if they ever need to cancel their contract, are they able to, and is there a fee for it?
Yeah, I think that's one of the neat things. We do allow students to cancel their contract. I think it's a very new process for them. Typically, most leases will not let you cancel your contract. That's kind of why you sign a contract. You're committing to a time period and a certain amount of rent to pay for, guaranteed stay there. But we know they're college students, so we do have a process to break your contract if that's something that you do need to pursue. There are fees associated to that. So typically, if you cancel your contract, we operate, I think we'll have like deadlines. So our first deadline actually is July the 1st. Actually, if you cancel your contract before July the 1st for the fall semester, for 9-month contracts, there's no fees at all. Actually, we'll let you break your contract for free. We'll be like, you know what, go ahead and cancel, no fees applied. You only be responsible for the $50 application fee. And then as you get closer to the fall move-in date, then the cancellation fee increases. So after July 1st, the first cancellation fee is $300. Then August 1st, that increases to $500. And after you move in, which is usually around like September 11th, mid-September, then if you do want to still cancel at that point and you're moved in, then that fee increases to $1,000 for the year. And then for the spring semester, which started now, a little bit for new spring contracts, usually we'll start off and you can cancel anytime before December 1st. And then from December 1st through the end of the month is $300. Which is January 1st, which started now that fee is $500. And then if you cancel for new spring contracts after 12th class day, which should be around February, then that fee goes up to $1,000. So we do have a process which does help students in case they do, things happen, life happens, we understand. Then we can help them with that. Now, there are some students that get that fee exempt. For example, if they're graduating, if they're exactly, we're very happy. If they're military service, there may be some medical reasons, something happens medically that they're not able to live on campus anymore. And of course, with documentation and through an appeal process, we can exempt them and allow them to break their contract.
Yeah, it's not like you guys are gonna it's not like you guys are gonna hold them up to anything. It's like, no, you can't leave, like you have to
absolutely.
No, you guys are like super flexible and you guys are really understanding of certain situations, and I'm sure for many people who live off campus, it's not the same. If rent is due that rent is due that specific day, so
absolutely, when you sign a contract, you're dealing with a business, and a business, has to collect rent. That's how they make, their money. They have their expenses to pay. So that's understandable. But yeah, most contract operators, when they operate their leases, you just can't say, oh, I don't want it anymore. That's not how it works. You're committed to that rent or that contract, and you have to pay that, And sometimes for students, they aren't as prepared or understand those laws in the state of Texas when it comes to leases, and they may be on a 12-month contract that they realize I don't want to be part of this anymore, but I'm hooked onto it, and it affects their credit. A lot of times it affects their parents' credit, because usually students don't have credit, so they have to have like a co-signer, and that's usually like a parent.
And more than likely, it is a parent. So
so
just to avoid those situations.
Yeah, and it can get tough. Because the reality is, if you say, "Well, I'm not going to pay," well, you might find yourself in some legal challenges for the first time. With us, I think we'll work with the student. They have access to financial aid. We can work with payment plans. Sometimes we even hire them. We have a lot of work study positions. They can work with in our department. Some direct positions. We also have RAs, we're always hiring RAs. So there's a lot of different opportunities even within our department for them to generate some money so they can pay their rent or their meal plans. So it's a great place. I think through UTRGV, through our mission of student success, you'll find that the staff are very solution oriented, trying to assist the student whenever possible.
I think one of the main questions about housing is like, how much does it cost, or how much does it typically cost? Because I know that it can be some big numbers and it can discourage some people, but I know that the housing department does have installment plans. Like, you guys do help them out with making their payments. I'm sure you guys have like some bundles, like certain things that
Absolutely.
to encourage students to come live on campus.
Yeah, I mean, usually we always refer them to financial aid first, so they can check, what their financial aid package, right? They call it the financial aid package includes, and financial aid usually gives you, a certain amount of Pell grants or types of different grants, depending on what you qualify for. Texas grants, scholarships, student loans, all these different types of aid to pay for tuition and fees, housing, and meal plans. For us, typically for example, if a first year student wants to live on campus, per semester, we will charge them at Unity Hall for a double occupancy room, $2,120 for that semester, that time period between August and December for the fall, or in this case, now that we're in the spring semester, January through May. And they're usually move in before class starts, which for us starts this Friday. We'll start moving people in. And then at the end of the semester, usually the last day, class day, they'll start checking out.
When you compare it to living off campus, it is around the same price range, but the students are getting a fully furnished room.
Correct.
The amenities are within walking distance for them. So it's just a lot of benefits to living on campus. And I mean, I know that the cost can look kind of intimidating, but when you take everything into consideration, it's like, it's worth it. It's worth living on campus.
There are actually some scholarships that are just for housing. I know, like example, the UTRGV Distinguished Scholarship, and we don't handle that scholarship. That's offered by the university. Covers all housing for 4 years. So we have a lot of students that, frankly, they're on a full ride. So they just sign up for housing and it's all covered. And I mean, there's a lot of scholarships are out there. I mean, there's ones that UTRGV offers, but there's also ones that maybe are more private, but the same concept, as long as, you're a student here, you qualify for it and you can use those scholarship dollars towards your costs of housing.
For the students who are taking classes on the Edinburgh campus, but then are also taking classes on the Brownsville campus, how do they work with the housing department and their contract if they need to be commuting back and forth, or if they just choose to live on the Edinburgh campus and then need to move to Brownsville or vice versa? How does it work for them?
That's probably one of our very unique advantages we have. We, unlike maybe the off-campus market, when you sign up for a lease in Edinburgh, there's not a way that I know of that you can transfer your lease to Brownsville, and we can do that. So for example, if a student lives at the Village Apartments in the fall semester, and then something happens where they need to study at the Brownsville campus for the spring semester, we can transfer their contract pretty easily. They'll live at the Village for the fall, pay those charges. They transfer for a spring to Casa Bella, and they pay the charges associated with that.
Now, is there a limit as to how many times a student can transfer? I mean, obviously, you wouldn't want them transferring an extensive amount of times, but
we haven't had the need to put a limit because I think students themselves, obviously, having to move from one campus to another is a lot. So they themselves maybe have done it maybe once. I haven't seen anyone try to do it more than twice, but I think if that were to happen, I mean, I think since we're very supportive, we'll hear them out, find out what's going on, and we can do it. Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not. But no limit, and as many times as they reasonably need to, we'll definitely support that. As long as we have a room and we have, because sometimes students realize we have to prepare the room, we have to clean it, we have to inspect it, make sure
process.
Yeah, there's a process. Make sure there's nothing that maybe is not working that we had broken while it was unoccupied. So we'll check, make sure we have a room to give them, right? That takes time, and it is a process.
What is the length of the contract for UTRGV?
So for students who start off with us in the fall, we do require a 9-month kind of commitment, August through May, which takes up all of fall and spring. So they will be required to live with us for both semesters when they start in the fall. For the spring, which is the semester we're in now, we call that new spring contracts, or so there are new students that are coming in for the spring semester only, and they'll start with us this week. They'll be moving in on Friday, and that starts now, and you typically right before first class day, and then they'll stay with us all spring, all these months through May. At the end of the May semester, usually by the last class day, then they will start checking out, and that's how long the contracts last.
For the parents who are hesitant about their child living on campus, is there any data that shows that the residents fare well or better for having lived on campus?
Absolutely. I think along with our mission of student success, you're going to find in our housing profession, we've looked at this a lot. Do students fare better academically by living on campus versus students who not? And I think you'll find the overwhelming answer is yes, they do. The companionship and interactions and activities that the residential curriculum and the student life experience offer students is providing higher level of academic performance, is what we're finding. We look at data a lot. We look at how students are doing, and I know I'm looking at the GPAs of our residents, and they're doing very, very well.
I think it's so important for any parent that is on the fence to really kind of sit with that information, because there's all of the safety components, but then there's all of these academic components as well. In no other living arrangement is your student going to receive this kind of support in their academic journey, in no capacity. Even the cheapest of apartments is not going to offer this kind of consistent support. And I just wanted to commend you and all of your staff for doing so much to support our vaqueros every day, outside of their classroom experience.
So for the incoming freshmen, new transfers that are preparing to move in, is there a guide that they can follow or some sessions that they could attend that could help them move in to UTRGV?
Yeah, usually we'll have the move-in guide, which is on our website, and we're sending that already in advance, and then they can meet with any of our housing coordinators to answer any questions about. We'll host virtual sessions to answer those questions as transition on campus, and then we actually on Friday we'll have our check-in process, which will be a contactless drive-through process. So we actually, as we meet them in their cars, we will talk to the parents. We'll answer a lot of questions there. Once they move in, our RAs will be in the building, introducing themselves and talking to them as well. Social distance, wearing masks to promote safety. But yeah, absolutely, we'll have the guides there, and that guide covers a lot of different things, like what to bring, what not to bring. I usually tell students, don't overpack. Try a minimalist approach, a Marie Kondo approach, I say, and because a lot of times, they overpack or they bring things that they think they need to bring, and I'm like, look, essentials are going to be linen, toiletries, and your clothes. The rooms are fully furnished.
They don't realize that they overpacked until they get into the dorm and they're like, overpacked.
I've seen people bring U-Hauls and all. I'm like, that's probably not what you need. A lot of stuff, shelving, and that's fine. If some students want to do that, they're more than welcome to do that.
But I mean, the dorms are already furnished, so like you said, it's just linens, clothes.
Your laptop, your iPad, your phone.
Your charger, just your basic things.
Sergio, is there any segregation in terms of age? Like 17, 18-year-olds are, in one particular building or in one particular part of the building as, opposed to like a graduate student?
Typically, what we'll try to, well, one, the students can always request a roommate, but we try to group them within, age groups and also by major, like all the business majors together, all the biology majors, all the nursing, criminal justice, whenever possible. Or sometimes they request each other. They can request each other through the housing portal. But we tend to find that our graduate and upperclassmen will reside in the apartments. It's usually our first year and second year students will reside in our residence halls. And usually we'll find the younger students at like Unity Hall, at Heritage Hall, and then our upperclassmen, our juniors and seniors will be like at the Village Apartments. I know for Casa Bella, which in Brownsville, we don't have a residence hall, we have an apartment. So, but there's actually separate buildings. There's 6 buildings there. So what we'll do is we'll have like a first year building for all males and a first year building for all females. So we usually put our freshmen in the all male building or all female building, and then the rest of the buildings we'll try to lay out maybe some of the returning students, like the juniors and seniors, as they kind of transition and return with us. So whenever possible, yes, we try to group them by different age brackets and by classification, really, freshmen and sophomores, and versus juniors and seniors and graduate students. We also do have a very few limited private apartments, like 1-bedroom apartments or studio apartments, and so usually those are taken up by the graduate students or upperclassmen as they become available.
And when it comes to shared spaces inside of the dormitories and apartments, can you tell us a little bit about that? What shared spaces and communal living spaces there are in Edinburg and Bronzeville?
Sure. I know for Edinburg, the Unity Hall, we offer double occupancy and single occupancy rooms. So for the double occupancy, basically just means you're going to have a roommate living with you in the same bedroom, but you all have your own space. So you have your side of the bedroom with your furniture, your desk, your side is your closet space. And they have their own space, and then you share an adjoining like Jack and Jill type restroom, which has its own private restroom and shower, and then you have to share that with another suite. So it's kind of suite style housing. So we'll, if you pick a double occupancy room, you'll have a roommate. If you pick a single, then you keep that entire bedroom to yourself. Okay. But you do have to share that restroom access. Now for the apartments, like at Casa Bella, for example, that's a more modern style apartment, and so you only have to share the apartment. Typically we have like 4-bedroom apartments, so every student gets their own bedroom and restroom, but you do have to share like the kitchen, the washer and dryer, and that living room area. And then the other spaces, of course, the other amenities, like for the residence halls, obviously you have to share the study rooms, the lounges. Every floor has its own like study spaces and activity spaces. So those are some of the shared spaces that you have to kind of work through.
When it comes to the shared living spaces, how has that been affected with COVID? Are you still having multiple people in a room, and how do they navigate the shared space inside of the apartment?
So for COVID and some of the measures that we've taken, of course, are increased cleaning in our residence halls, and in obviously any kind of communal spaces, we're doing more cleaning and disinfecting that we're doing before. Where possible, what we've done is de-densified. So what that means is we've tried to limit the number of people that are in that apartment when possible, but we do have some apartments that are pretty full. We'll have all 3 or 4 students. But typically, the same rules apply. I think some of the measures we took had to do more with our policies. So for example, this fall, we were not allowing any guests, so you couldn't have visitors. And we were trying to limit the apartments to just interact with each other and limit the interaction with other guests. So that way it was kind of like the family household concept. Only those students should be interacting with each other. And that would help limit their chance of, interacting with other non-students or other guests to limit their exposure to COVID.
It just limits
Yeah.
It just limits exposure, which is
And
very
of course, I mean, we have the same policies that the university has. You know, you have to wear masks when you leave your apartment. You have to let people know if you're not feeling well, and we'll work with our COVID-19 response team if that's the case, and then help them self-isolate if that's what's required, and help them through that transition. I know we had a few students who were not feeling well, so we did self-isolate them in their own private space, provided them meals, connected them with student health services, connected them with the COVID response team, and made sure that they recovered well and had all the resources they needed to help them get better.
Do you guys have any events or like online gaming events that you guys
Yeah,
create?
so part of some of our activities as part of our residential curriculum, we ask our resident assistants that live there to host different virtual events. So they've been hosting different video game tournaments. They've been hosting social hours. They've been hosting a variety of different kind of events. They've been doing a lot of like delivery events where they like DIY activities. And then every RA is also doing what we call interactions. So they'll reach out to the residents to check in on them, see how they're doing, see if they have any questions. We try to do this often with the residents virtually, so that we can be safe through this pandemic, and that seems to be working for us for the most part. And we've also been hosting some town halls, the department where students can come in and ask us questions. So there's been a variety of activities that we've done this past fall, and we're going to continue to do this spring.
And I know that you have been mentioning your RAs and how they are like your eyes in the dorms. They're watching over the residents and they're creating events to keep them engaged. But in case of an emergency, are the RAs like on the clock? Like, is there someone that they can call always in case, like, even if it's like at like a random time, like 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, like, are there RAs available for them?
Yeah, we do offer what we call 24 on-call services. So any student can call us 24 hours. Let's say they get locked out of their room. Let's say they have a question regarding, an issue in their bedroom or apartment, like, a maintenance concern. So we do have a 24-hour number they can call. It's usually the resident assistant on call to respond to emergency. And we also have our professional staff will be available for emergencies on call as well, in case they need to speak to a professional staff member to address any emergency situations. And we also offer 24 on-call emergency maintenance services through our facility services. So let's say, and we consider major emergencies, I don't know, something happens with, I'm thinking maybe the water goes out in your apartment. And I kind of consider no hot water or kind of those kind of things. Then we can try to see if we can resolve it through an on-call response, and we'll bring the facility staff, have them return. And if it's 2 a.m. and it's an emergency that needs to be resolved, we can bring them in that late. Or if it can at least wait till the morning, we'll try to see what happens. Or even on weekends too, if something may happen during the weekend, we'll see if we can resolve it over the weekend. Also, we have 24-hour university police as well. So they're also accessible. So there's a lot of people always available for the residents at all times of day and night.
I think that might even be an understatement, because we haven't mentioned that PD is located literally right next to each resident hall / apartment at each campus. So your neighbors are the PD headquarters.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best thing in the world to say that, oh yeah, the police headquarters is located right next to the residence halls and apartments at both campuses. That's, when it comes to safety, I don't know what else I can say to promote it when you have the police station right there across the street from, not even across the street, like right next to you.
Right behind Unity.
Yeah, they're right there. And the greatest officers, kindest people in the world. Always available, interacting with the students. They do patrols. They, you know them by name, and that helps a lot in terms of security.
So let's talk about something a little bit more maybe taboo. Are co-ed sleepovers permitted?
Well, pre-pandemic, we allow visitors. We were allowing visitors, right? That was very common. We had no issue with having your friends over, and but unfortunately, one of the things that did happen during the pandemic that's very common at any university that they took was that we didn't allow visitors at all, only because we were trying to mitigate the spread of COVID. Hopefully, once things are back to normal, our intention is to allow visitors again. That being said, we don't allow what we call cohabitation. So, your room is assigned to you, and you can't have opposite gender people living or residing there without our permission. We do allow people to have overnight guests. So that means they can sleep over for up to 3 nights a month at no charge. However, there is a form they have to fill out. It has to be the same gender. And there's obviously a limit to that. So there's some rules we have in place for that. But for the most part, you can visit all the time, but we do have curfews for the visitors. So you typically by 2 a.m., we usually ask all visitors to go back home, and they can return the following day at 10 a.m. Those are kind of our cutoff hours for visitors.
Mm-hmm. I know that you had mentioned previously about meal plans, and I know that a lot of students have questions about meal plans, especially when they're living in the dorms. Is it necessary to purchase the meal plans, and how do they work?
Sure. So for the Edinburgh campus, in our residence halls, we do require to purchase a meal plan. So for example, we'll have our our weekly meal plans or our block meal plans. So a student does have to purchase one of those meal plans as a condition of living on campus. And that gives them access to the dining hall and dining dollars to access different restaurants on campus. So there's different prices and different meal plan levels they can choose from. For those living in the apartments, you can still purchase a meal plan, but in case you don't want the meal plan, we have what we call dining dollars, so you can purchase that instead of a meal plan. So I know for the village apartments, you can purchase $300 minimum or more. Some may choose $500 or $1,000, and then you have dining dollars that you can use at all the restaurants or the dining hall on campus. And same thing at Casa Bella. Casa Bella, we require at least a minimum of $200 of dining dollars to purchase. You can purchase more if you want, but at least $200, and then you can use that at the eateries on the Brownsville campus. So that is one of the requirements. We've always seen that as an advantage because I know in my experience, most students don't know how to cook or prepare their own food, or I like to say nutritious food.
We're learning.
Yeah, I know.
Learning. Don't worry.
I'm glad that you want to eat ramen and hot dogs all day, but that's not healthy. So I think our partners in Sodexo do a great job providing nutritious, well-rounded meals for our students. Students have a variety of tastes and needs, and protein requirements and carb requirements and macro requirements. So they do a really great job providing a variety of meals and foods for our students. So really glad that they have access to a meal plan. And I think for parents, maybe not so much for students, parents like to know that their students are eating well and,
yes.
and they're in good health, and having access to good food, it helps them accomplish that.
Yeah. And I know that we have there's dining dollars, there's V-Bucks, and the thing is I want to say the difference between dining dollars and V-Bucks, from what I got from the information that you just said, is that dining dollars is to dine on campus at any of the restaurants, and
Correct.
V-Bucks is you can use it to purchase food as well, but it is also clothing and other types of things. But that's the difference between dining dollars and V-Bucks. It's dining dollars is you're just gonna dine.
Yeah.
You're not gonna buy a t-shirt with your dining dollars, but
yeah, you can't buy books. It's for food.
Yeah, no, but for V-Bucks on the other hand, it's the opposite.
You can use it at the bookstore, at the vending machines, pretty much anywhere on campus that accepts payment. You can use that.
Sergio, I really want to thank you so much for joining us today. Adriana, thank you for always being such an amazing torch for this passing of information. Thank you, Sergio, for taking the time of your day to give us all of this wonderful and useful information. And I'm going to put the phone numbers, and there's going to be a lot of other links that are going to be dropped down into the comments section. But if you just want to record this number for your own benefit, the phone number is 665-3439 in Edinburgh for Reslife, and then in Bronzeville, 882-7191. Remember, please, to follow us on social media at UTRGV Union. And of course, tune in tomorrow at the same time for our Q&A InfoDepot with the V1 card office, where you're going to hear all of the answers to all of your questions in regards to the V1 card, V-Bucks, and all other items that fall under that umbrella. Goodbye and stay safe, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Mabel. Have a great day.
Likewise.